neighbors. I'm Janet Alexander, and I'm running for Lawrence County School Board to represent the 7th District. With 40 years in early and elementary education, you could say I've worn many hats. Preschool director and owner, educator, student, administrator, principal, and mentor will just name a few. I've had the pleasure of leading the love of learning with thousands of Lawrence County students through my time as a teacher. After retirement in 2017, I stepped full-time into my role of being Marmee to my 5 grandboys. And although my role as a teacher has changed, my commitment to the importance of education is now more prevalent than ever. Our teachers and students are a precious commodity to our future, and they deserve an advocate. And I would be honored to stand beside you as we ensure that we'll put our students first this March the 5th on Election Day.
This is Jason at Volco Auto Supply in Lawrenceburg. For over 90 years, Volco has been a family-owned company. We're proud of our past and excited about our future. We're open to the public for wholesale and retail trade. We carry product lines such as Milwaukee Tools, Lucas Oil, and Malco product. We carry all major brands of lubricants like Shell Rotella, Haviland, Castrol GTX, Mystic, Motorcraft, Valvoline, Kindle, and Mobil. We here at Volco offer a complete line of car detailing supplies, shop supplies, tire repair products, and lawnmower supplies. Check us out online at VolcoAutosupply.com or at 416 Buffalo Road here in Lawrenceburg.
Truett's Garage Doors in Leoma, Tennessee is your one-stop for new garage door installations for all commercial and residential buildings, plus they offer full service on all existing doors. Need a new garage door opener? Truett's Garage Doors has you covered. As an AMAR Gold and LiftMaster dealer, Truett's Garage Doors offers the best pricing anywhere in the area. A family-owned and operated business, Truett's Garage Doors has been helping Tennessee and Alabama residents since 1999. Call the pros today at Truett's Garage Doors, 931-201-6464.
Whether you're shopping in Lawrenceburg, Loretto, Summertown, or Mount Pleasant, Tegan's Food Stores has you covered with the best quality food at the best prices. From Cash Saver to Superama and CB Foods, stop by your neighborhood Tegan's Food Store today.
From the X Sports Network, this is the Hayden Burks Show.
Yeah, I agree completely. Because you go on an 18 game win streak, Hayden, and mentally you just go in. It's like, okay, we got to go, beat this other team. And when that other team's Summertown, you can never take them lightly. It doesn't matter what Summertown's record is, and I'm talking boys and girls side, equally. It doesn't matter what their record is, who they have, who they don't have. If you go into Summertown, you're always going to get a dogfight. Yeah, I mean, and they're really lucky that he's playing at this level. When you suffer an ankle sprain, Hayden, you probably know it. I know it as well. It's not an easy thing to bounce back from, and especially as physical a position he plays. He's running the guard show, and sometimes he'll go play post defense. But coming up with 23 points against Summertown, he had 20 against them in the first game. And another unsung hero from that game was Jackson Robertson, the junior guard. He had 4 or 6 points at halftime, exploded in the second half. The Mustangs were at a point where they would have 3 or 4 guys out there with 4 fouls in the fourth quarter. Now they had a substantial lead, 3 or 4 possessions, but Jackson Robertson, man, he just really attacked the basket in the fourth quarter, which is what he does the best, and finished that game with 17 points. I mean, they're a very good team. I mean, when you have two guys like Kurt and Grayson Burleson, I mean, they combined for 35 points against the Mustangs on Tuesday night. They have they got to get their role players a little more involved. You'd like to see a couple guys hit more than 1 or 2 shots a game. Yeah, and I mean, everybody on their team has the ability to hit the threes. I mean, they're getting some big production from Ty Bryant off the bench. He got to start that second half against the Mustangs. But if they can start getting a little more production from their bench players and maybe get a little more scoring and a little more defense from those guys, I mean, they're no joke going into the district tournament later here in the month.
End up pulling an upset on one of those three teams.
Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, Mount Pleasant has looked really good this year. 16-5 on the boys' side, 2-1 in district play. That one loss being at Loretto. So the Mustangs haven't even had to travel to Mount Pleasant yet. Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see how the Eagles defense handles Mount Pleasant's athletic offense and their speed of play. If Mount Pleasant comes out on a heater and is shooting the ball really well, I mean, Summertown needs to look out. But on the opposite side, if Mount Pleasant isn't hitting their shots and Summertown comes out shooting the lights out like they have been very prone to do this season, it could be a blowout in the favor of the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way, but both teams are both high-scoring offenses. They both like to get up and down the court. They both like to shoot a bunch of threes. So I think it really just becomes whoever makes whoever makes more shots than the other team. So I think that's what will come down to. So we'll move on from Summertown Loretta and take a look at Lawrence County. Obviously, they had a tough Tough travel. The girls came out on top against Marshall County. They won that one 50-35, and the boys lost last night. First time in the state of Tennessee they have lost, Michael. They dropped to 19-4, 6-1 in the district. But hey, AJ said this last night. There's no time for them to think this one over. They got another tough road game. They're going to be traveling over to Tullahoma, and that is a tough travel. When I was over there with Lawrence County, Tullahoma was always a long drive, driving at least an hour 30, hour 45, close up to 2 hours, possibly just depending on traffic. And it's going to be another good Friday night game, and obviously they're looking to get back in the win column.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Tullahoma and Lawrence County face off a couple weeks ago. The girls' game was as good as expected, and the boys, for Lawrence County, came away with the win. But you look at Tullahoma's record in the district, along with Lawrence County's. Tullahoma's overall record's not the best. Their girls being 11-10, but you look at that 5-1, district record. They're playing very well once it's come to district play, and along with the Lady Cats, 14-9, 6-1 in district play. So I think you're prone to another very good girls' game like we got a couple of weeks ago. And with the boys, they need to bounce back for Lawrence County. Coming off a tough loss against Marshall County, they're still 6-1, still kind of sitting atop that district race. Just come out with a solid win on a Friday night and just get to next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to end this week off on a high note because then next week you got, I believe, Tuesday night is when they play Marshall County at home. That will be senior night. And then to end off the season, they'll be going to Murfreesboro Central Magnet for their final game of the season, of the regular season. But the Lady Cats, obviously, starting off that game is a little back-and-forth game. And they just kind of took off. And, man, I don't know if you've been watching, Michael, the Lady Cats lately, but, dude, they have just been clicking ever since that Loretta game. Dude, they scored 82 points against Franklin County at Franklin County.
I mean, that's insane for a high school game because you got to realize, you have 32 minutes, and the fact they put up 80 points, that's almost 3 points a minute. And that just means that offense is rolling. And, props to those seniors, like J.C. Scott. They've really got this offense rolling. And like you said, Hayden, since that Loretto game, they've really turned a switch.
Absolutely. And they're going into this game 14-9 overall, 6-1 in their district, and their only district loss was against Tullahoma at Big Kahuna Night at Lawrence County. So they're looking to bounce back against that one and improve their record to 7-1 and 15-9, and obviously we'll stick with the Wildcats. They're looking to bounce back after a tough loss against Marshall County, and I was telling you before the show, Michael, I don't know what it is, but ever since I was in high school and still leading up to this point in last season, it just seems like Marshall County plays us a little bit more intense, and it's always a tougher matchup, and it just seems like they always have our number. But then again, I know our Wildcats. I know Bryce. He's not going to worry about that one. They got to move on, get ready for Tullahoma tonight. And you can't put Coach Welts of Tullahoma. Obviously, I know Coach Welts very well. His son Cam played at UT Southern. I know them pretty well, and I know he's a very good coach, and he's going to have his guys ready to play tonight. So, that's going to be another good game, another good test for the Wildcats to, obviously I think it was what Dusty, it's kind of like what Loretta said the other night with their girls coach. I think Bryce is going to have his guys ready to go, tell the guys, like, look, hey, now it's time to face a little adversity. Like, how you going to respond? Maybe that was another, one to get punched in the face and kind of understand, okay, losing doesn't feel good, and we want to get back in the win column. So they're trying to get their 20th win on the season. But, man, this Wildcat team, when they're hitting shots and when they're rebounding the ball, they are a very, very dangerous team.
Yeah, and like you said, it seems like Marshall County always gives you their best game. But you look at the Wildcats record, 19-4, 6-1. The other team sees that coming into this game and realizes how good of a team they are. If you're a good team, you're always going to get the other team's best shot. So Lawrence County, even though some of the records of the teams they're playing, in district play aren't the best, you're going to get every team's best shot, and and that's a hard thing to do night in and night out, having to face that.
Absolutely. So we'll give a little props to our middle school teams as well. Obviously, shout out to all of them making the sectional tournament. South Lawrence defeated Moore County last night. The girls did. They move on to play East Nashville, who defeated Etheridge Lady Bulldogs. And Michael, we've been all talking about this. AJ, Dusty, you and I, and also just other players. We've got some good talent coming up in Lawrence County. Obviously, with new prospect, they've got a screw. They're 20-0. I don't know if you watched the game last night, but go watch that game I covered at Lincoln County. Landon Bracey is legit. I don't know where he's going to school. I'm assuming Lawrence County, but he's going to be a big time player in the future.
Yeah, well, Lawrence County has always been, just the entire county, from Summertown all the way down to Loretto. They've always been built with talent. I mean, you look and you think, oh, maybe they're going to have a down year, but then they bring a couple kids up from middle school, and there's really no drop off. I mean, you might have one, subpar year to your standards, but it seems like, Lawrence County, Summertown, and Loretto in the high school game are always competing for championships because of what they have coming up in the middle school, area. Because you see all these teams going to the sectional, going to the state tournament, and stuff like that, and they build a winning attitude at that age, just brings it to the high school game, and then we get some great action here on Friday nights.
Yeah, especially with tonight, New Prospect, they're going to be taking on Knowledge Academy. I believe they'll be playing at 6 p.m. at Lincoln County in the semifinals, so that's going to be another good test. And I'll talk to you about that game, Michael. Like I said, I don't know if you watched it or not, but then again, like at one point, it was all Lakeview. To start the game off, they went 5 for 6 from the three-point line, had 18 points, 15 came from the three-point line. New Prospect was down 18-9, and all of a sudden they were down 20-18. Landon Bracey gets a steal from the other three-point line, throws a heave from the other side of the court. I mean, just nothing but net. You got to watch it, bro. I mean, it was unreal. I was going crazy. Sam had his jaw dropped straight to the floor. Dude, it was unreal. And they went into halftime 21-20. Come back to the second half. Lakeview hit a few quick shots. They hit a two-pointer, and then they got another three-pointer up. Led that one 25-21, and then New Prospect answered, and then after that, they just took off and never looked back. So shout out to the New Prospect Tiger boys. South Lawrence, obviously I got to that one late because New Prospect boys had to travel from Lincoln County High School down the street to the prep school, Lincoln Central Academy. South Lawrence girls in Moore County, dude, that was, it's kind of a smaller gym, not as big as many gyms. It kind of was like South Lawrence a little bit. It didn't look like that, but size-wise, it could fit that many. But dude, that place felt like a high school gym. Like, that place was unreal, the environment. It was so loud, I couldn't even hear Will in my headset. It was that loud. And I mean,
listen, when you get some Loretto fans and they get a little crazy, man, I mean, I'll tell you, it can get loud. And I know I've covered a couple more county high school games, when they've come to Loretto. Lynchburg is not a very close drive to Loretto, and they traveled pretty well for an away crowd and some of the weather. So, props to them. I mean, I bet that was a heck of a game to be at.
Yeah, especially with it was down the wire for sure. It was a 40-40 ball game, and neither team, both teams were giving the other team chances to capitalize, and neither team could capitalize. And then that one crucial turnover by Marshall County was stolen away by Rutledge from South Lawrence. They threw a outlet pass over to Stutz. I can't remember her first name. I'm blanking on her first name, but Stutz. She had a wide open layup for two, and they had a 42-40 lead with like 5 seconds left. And then after that, there was a Hail Mary pass, went out of bounds, and all South Lawrence had to do was get the ball in. They moved on, and they'll play East Nashville tonight. So that'll be two good games for middle school. We're going to be jam-packed tonight. Summertown's got a game at Mount Pleasant. Lawrence County's going to go at Tullahoma. Loretto will be at home against Lewis County. And then, once again, the Prospect boys will be at Lincoln County High School at 6 p.m. And then South Lawrence will be at Lincoln Central Academy, 7:15 against East Nashville. So, boy, we're going to be jam-packed. Michael, I wish you were here.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I could help out, but 4 hours away, it's kind of hard for me to help. But I mean, I'll always join you for the show, though.
Yeah, I don't know what you said. Your audio can't, or I can read your lips a little bit, but then again, we'll get that fixed a little bit. So we're going to take a break after that. So we're going to finish up the local segment. We're going to jump into a little bit of college hoops, Tennessee basketball, and NBA with All-Star weekend coming up and what's going on around in the world of basketball. So that'll be next here on the Hayden Burks Show.
If you want the best clean and wash experience, you need to catch the happy wave at Tidal Wave Auto Spa. Don't settle for streaks, dirt residue, water spots, and weak vacuums that you can get at just any car wash. At all our locations, you will be greeted by a smiling attendant who will pre-wash your car front and back to remove any stubborn bugs and dirt before guiding you through the tunnel, where your car will be treated to the ultimate spa treatment with state-of-the-art equipment and one-of-a-kind wash experience that will give your car a showroom shine. Afterwards, you can help yourself to our free powerful vacuums, cleaning cloths, and glass and surface cleaner for the perfect finishing touch. When it comes to caring for your car, don't settle for any wash and pay for all the extras. Get the best when you catch the Happy Wave at your local Tidal Wave Auto Spa.
The Summit of Lawrenceburg is the premier senior and assisted living community in the region. The Summit makes it home for you or your loved one with diverse suites that welcome and encourage community, plus gathering spaces, neighborhoods, daily activities, and a wonderful staff that supports you every day.
Hi, I'm Tara Blue. I'm the new director of the Summit, and we would like to invite you and your family to come and tour our facility. We would love to see you here.
I was gonna say, can you not hear me anymore?
For the best at-home care in Lawrence County, the Summit at Home is the right company for you. We have a friendly staff over 25 that is trained, educated, and qualified to help with all your needs within your household. Our non-medical services include transportation, housework, dressing, and companionship. We are also covered by most long-term care providers. For more information, please call 931-762-2310.
The Hidden Garden, located just off the square in downtown Lawrenceburg, is your hometown oasis for massage, aesthetics, full hair and nail services, and body waxing. Gift certificates are available, and be sure to follow them on Facebook for their specials. The Hidden Garden, your peace, your place. 222 Pulaski Street, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, or phone 931-762-9799.
Tennessee Flight Training. We are training the next generation of pilots. Come and see why Tennessee Flight Training is the best way to learn to fly. Tennessee Flight Training. The skies are calling.
If there ever was such a thing as a company that could do almost anything, well, Tenakee Properties is it. These guys know how to completely transform your existing home into something new, or just do it room by room. Need a new bathroom or kitchen? What about a fresh coat of paint?
I got you.
Even a new floor? Looking for dirt work? Tenakee has you covered. Oh, and you can even rent a dumpster from them too.
You can't hear me?
That's Tenakee Properties. Visit Tenakee.com or phone 931-244-4602.
Hi, my name is Asha. I go to Lawrenceburg Technical College, and I moved here a year ago from California.
You got me?
I wanted to be a cosmetologist and study hair, nails, and makeup. You should come join us at Lawrenceburg Technical College and learn all about cosmetology.
Swap and Shop Center in Lawrenceburg is your go-to stop to complete your home, business, a combination of both, or really anything you can think of. With one of the region's biggest selection of bedroom furniture, name brand mattresses, recliners, living room and dining room suites, accents for the home or office, quality name brand appliances, and did I mention Swap and Shop services what they sell? This is family owned and operated business at its best. And the best part is, they'll treat you like family too.
We got bedroom suites, mattresses, dining room suites, appliances, outdoor equipment, mowers, and more. See us at the Swap and Shop Center in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
Hayden Burks goes the distance for local sports on the X Sports Network.
And welcome back to the Hayden Burks Show. As we are back, we had a little bit of technical difficulties with our audio, but I think we're trying to get that figured out as soon as possible. Michael, I'm going to try my best. I think I can hear you somewhat, but I'll try to get my, I guess I'll have to get my hearing aids ready. Obviously, I ain't got them yet, but that day's coming for sure. But we're going to jump into some college hoops as Michael, the boys team, men's team for Tennessee Vols took a hard loss to South Carolina. Just talk about that one for us.
Well, if Tennessee, they couldn't hit they wouldn't hit a water if they fell out of a boat Tuesday night, to put it vaguely. Nobody shot the ball very well. I mean, I could be as negative as I needed to be. They scored 55 points, and we're supposed to be the 18th most efficient offense in the nation. I mean, Dalton Connect still put up 31 points. And watching him in person, I mean, I was at that game Tuesday night. It is unreal. But, you got some production from Santiago Vescovi, and really everybody else just couldn't do anything. We didn't shoot very well from the line. I think we were 4 for 19 from 3, which is not going to win you very many ball games, and even worse from the field. But a very tough loss to a very good, don't look at that, no ranking besides South Carolina and think they're a bad team. That is a very
They're
good
legit.
team.
They are legit.
They were, one or two votes off of being in the top 25. And I think, if they, come away with a win this weekend, I'm not sure who they play. They'll definitely be in the top 15.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they obviously beat Kentucky the other day. Then they played a very good Tennessee team and beat them. I mean, that, like I said, after I saw that South Carolina, the way, when you think of South Carolina basketball, you always go to the women's side because they just dominate. Then again, that boys team, they've had a good, good crew in the past. They got several good freshmen in the past. Now one of them's in the NBA. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
Gigi Jackson, that plays for the Grizzlies.
Yep. Because I was thinking, I'm like, oh, this guy, he's legit for South Carolina.
And hey, listen, 6 or 7 years ago, that team made the Final Four. So, and they were not very highly ranked at all. They just, very well coached team. Now they have a different coach than they did in 2017, but they're a very well coached team with Lamont Paris. They're very tough defensively, and they hit timely shots when they need to.
They do, and I mean, like that's a contending SEC team. I mean, obviously that's a tough loss for Tennessee. You dropped another one. That's your fifth win or fifth loss of the season. So you want to look to bounce back, but then again, you can't worry about that one in the past. You got to get ready because Saturday you're playing a very good Kentucky Wildcat team. I mean, they're 15-4, 5-2 in the conference. I believe they're 10th in the nation right now currently.
Yeah. Now I don't think either Tennessee or Kentucky will keep their ranking because Kentucky dropped a tough one at home to Florida Tuesday. Or I believe it was Wednesday night actually. And
so
the game they led by double digits.
Losses.
Yeah, they lost 94-91 in overtime to a very good Florida team, a team that Tennessee actually handled very well. So. I think what you had this week with Tennessee and Kentucky is a bad case of looking ahead, which you cannot do in college sports, especially in a conference as tough as the SEC is in basketball. But I think you're going to be, primed for a very good matchup Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central on ESPN. And listen, if anybody's a college basketball fan, turn on ESPN at about 3 o'clock. You go back to back to back with a Houston and Kansas matchup, Duke, North Carolina, and then Tennessee, Kentucky. So if you're a college basketball fan, ESPN Saturday afternoon at that will be your home.
What time they come on, Michael?
Tennessee is at 7:30 Central. I will check on those other two games, but they're back to back to back.
Kevin, what games we got on Saturday? Coppin 1:15. Okay, I think I can make it. We'll just have to save for that because
you have Tennessee at 7:30. You have Duke and North Carolina at 5:30, and then you have see if I can find it here. Houston and Kansas at 3. So 3 really good games back to back to back. And I believe every team playing in those games is in the top 10 at the moment. So 3 top 10 matchups. That's a heck of a Saturday.
I'm excited now. I'm glad you told me that because definitely I know what I'll be doing after the middle school girls game. That's it's going to be tough, especially in Kentucky though. Like that's probably one of the hardest places if you're an SEC fan to play at. If you're just an SEC player in general or SEC team, when you think of SEC basketball, you think of Kentucky basketball, you think of Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, all those very good SEC basketball programs. But then again, it seems like just in the past, Kentucky basketball has been head and shoulders over everybody when it comes to SEC basketball.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have the best home court advantage, if definitely in the SEC, if not in the nation. I mean, there's just something about Rupp Arena. Some Tennessee fans may think it's the officiating, and probably everybody else in the SEC would agree. But I mean, it's tough to win in there. They're good. They're really tough to play in there. They're always on top of their game, and if they have any bit of adversity, I mean, they're going to take it out on whoever they're playing. Because I've seen a Kentucky team beat a top-ranked Tennessee team in Rupp Arena by 20+.
Yeah, so that's going to be a tough game between them. Obviously, Tennessee, like we said, we talked about in the past, I think they are a very, very good contender for the national championship, and I think they're probably one of the better teams in the nation, and I think they got a really good shot at winning the SEC championship. But also, I do want to bring this point up before we get to the NBA side of it. Did you know there was 7 Kentucky players that are in the All-Star game this upcoming year, Michael?
Yeah, now that you say it, I do realize it. I mean,
Shea, Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, Karl-Anthony Towns, Tyrese Maxey, Julius Randle, and Bam Adebayo. So
that's crazy.
They
produce talent.
They produce NBA talent. So we'll jump over to NBA side of it now, as obviously we saw last week that the starters for the NBA All-Star game were announced. And the reserves got announced, I believe it was last night. Taking a look at the West for the reserves, it's Devin Booker, Phoenix Suns, Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors, Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers. That is the West. Taking a look at the East, the Orlando Magic, Paolo Banchero, Jaylen Brown from Boston Celtics, Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks, Tyrese Maxey of the Philadelphia 76ers, Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat, and the Cleveland Cavalier, Donovan Mitchell. So, I mean, that all-star team is stacked. And we talked about it last week about, captains being switching back from not just captains, Team LeBron versus Team so-and-so, because that's what it's been the past few years. Giannis, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. That's how it's been. Now they're finally going back to the West versus East, and they are sticking to that format where the first 3 quarters and the final quarter is basically hit that number point and you win the ball game. So, I mean, it's going to be a big game. Yeah, but we'll switch over to this point with the they've been talking about that with the NBA about the 65-game rule, and I'll just go ahead and say it, Michael. Dusty went a little bit. He went into more of depth and went a bit harder on the players about not playing 65 games. I get it, you want to stay healthy, but then again, I look at it as not toughness, but I look at it as an organization side. I completely understand if you're an owner and you want your players to play. And I look at it from fan side of it too. There might be a kid on their birthday and they want to see Steph Curry play or a Giannis play or a Tyrese Halliburton play or Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, all those big names like that.
Well, we've seen it this year, Hayden. There was somebody that flew 3,000 miles from, I think it was Japan, to watch LaMelo Ball play against Sacramento, and he didn't even play. I believe he was injured. I don't think it was like a resting thing. I think he was actually injured. But, you have moments like that, I mean, why? Yeah. That's all I can say is why.
I mean, I get you want to be healthy and you want to get your money and being able to play, be ready for the playoffs. But then again,
imagine only being expected to show up to work 80% of the days you're supposed to work.
It's not, you play basketball for a living. Your daily routine is going to the gym, work out, work on your shots, get your game right, practice, eat right, cardio, get ready for a game. And that's basically your life for 10 to 15 years. I mean, if you're LeBron James, it's the past 20 years of your life. So, I mean, it's not that hard of a job. And especially, like I said, I look at it, we just talked about it from a fan side. I look at it from an ownership type of point of view. They're putting a lot of money into you. And for you not to sell their product, you're playing for an organization that is selling your product. And for you not to be on the court expecting $40 to $50 million a year, that's not going to cut it. Minimum 65 games. I think that's perfect. If you want to drop it to 60, I wouldn't have an issue with that. You'll miss 22 games. I think that's the most you can miss. But then again, when it comes to MVP awards, All NBA, I get that, because then again, if you're expecting a bonus, well, guess what? You're not going to get a bonus.
Exactly. And, I read that Draymond Green came out and was saying stuff that you shouldn't have to play 65 games to be eligible for all NBA and awards and stuff like that. Dude, if you're the best player in the NBA, you're going to play more than 65 games.
You're going to play more than 65 games.
The best player in the league is not going to play 25 games and just shut it down.
Yeah, you're not going to shut it down unless, if you're down bad. But, Golden State, even though I believe they're 21 and 24, 20 and 24, something like that, you're not just going to rest unless you're, really injured. No, this is the time of season where, okay, it's time to get in the play-in. That group right there, they are fighting to get in the play-in. Obviously, they've ran the NBA the past 10 years. They've won 4 championships. Obviously, in my opinion, the greatest dynasty in the NBA. If you disagree with that, talk to me and we can talk about that. But then again, that group right there, they're fighting to maybe get one last run. I don't think it's going to happen. In my opinion, it's probably not going to happen. But then again, as a team, they want to get a one last push as a group to try to get in the playoffs and try to make a run and get hot at the right time.
Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, Golden State, you can never count that. If Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are on the court, you can't count them out.
You got to watch
They
out.
are never out of a game.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's tough because it's talking about money, and we don't know what goes on inside of an organization when it comes to sponsorship, advertising, ticket sales, when it comes to, sponsorships, like I said, facility, employment, everything that goes on inside of it. We don't know what goes on there. But then again, if you're a guy like Joel Embiid, I get he's hurt though, but I'm just saying Joel Embiid.
Well, just even before the injury.
Yes, before the injury. If you're looking to sit down, you're an MVP candidate. People pay thousands of dollars just for a game, just to see you play. And then they're not being able to see you play. How does that make the NBA look?
Well, I mean, it's you don't see this. You see it happen in baseball, but they play 162 games. That's a complete different thing.
Yeah.
You don't see it in the NFL unless it's like week 17 and you've already locked up the 1 seed. You don't see big guys rest because they are going out there to sell their product, sell their team. And like you said, Hayden, what if somebody, spends their life savings to come watch you once and you're sitting out that night? I mean, Joel Embiid was so big on trust the process, but I'm guessing the process requires a couple rest days in between. I just don't get it.
But it's not just him, though. I'm not.
No. There's plenty of other ones, but he's kind of been the poster child for it.
It's LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant. I mean, basically everybody on this All-Star roster has taken a break, except Tyrese Maxey. I think he's really played legit. I know Brunson and Randall. Hey, as Stephen A. said, orange and blue skies.
Yep.
I mean, dude, we'll talk about New York a little bit now. Dude, they're on a roll.
They're good, man.
They're on a roll.
The Knicks are good.
I think
it feels weird saying that.
I think they need to be buyers, dude. I think they need to make one more move at the trade deadline. I think that move might be Zach LaVine.
See, I was always so big on the Chicago Bulls, but with Lonzo being hurt, they're not really much of a contender.
Oh, I know you just brought that, dude. Man, he could. I think he's the key. That's the reason.
If they get him back, look how good they looked before he was hurt. And look how bad they've looked after he's getting hurt.
He could shoot the ball, rebound, score, three-level score.
The biggest thing he could do, he could pass the ball. Nobody else does that in the NBA except like Tyrese Halliburton. But the way that he could run that offense with all those weapons he had around him, because at one point they had like DeMar, Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen. I mean, they had weapons around him, and now not so much.
Yeah, because they were the 6th seed that one year whenever I think it was his first year when that whole squad came together with LaVine, DeRozan. I think they played Milwaukee in the first round, I think.
I believe you're right.
Because that was the year Milwaukee won the championship, I think, because they played Chicago, and then they played Boston next round, then they played Atlanta in the Eastern Conference championship game. But then again, this is my take. A lot of people may not agree with that. I'm not saying he's the better between the two brothers, but LaMelo is more talented. But if I want a point guard on my team,
Lonzo's a better ball player.
I want Lonzo on my team. That's just me. I would rather want Lonzo Ball than LaMelo on my team. I'm not saying LaMelo's not better, because he's better in my opinion.
He's a more talented player, but I think that when in terms of team play and being a good ball player,
it's Lonzo. Without a doubt, it's Lonzo.
Miles.
Yeah, it's Lonzo. He's going to do whatever it takes. If he needs to rebound, dang it, he's going to rebound. If he's going to score, guess what? I'm a scorer. If it's get 20 assists a game, we're going to get 20 assists a game. So it's all Lonzo.
He's a 6'6" point guard that could put up a triple-double at the snap of a finger. I mean,
dude,
incredible.
Especially like his court vision. As soon as he gets a rebound on the defensive side, he's looking up and he can just anticipate passes and make them so well.
Yeah. So one thing I want to ask you about, Hayden, I assume you've heard of the Tony Snell situation going on.
I haven't read about it. I've heard about it. I'm happy for him. I hope he gets on the roster.
Somebody signs him.
I hope somebody signs him. I think
because he's at the point where so the NBA, I guess they have different benefits for different levels of play. So Snell's played 9 years in the NFL or the NBA, pardon, and he has 2 sons with autism. And if he gets 10 years in, which he need to be signed, I think by tomorrow or tonight then he would get some extra benefits to kind of help his kids. And Snell's not, he's kind of been the butt of a couple of jokes by going out there and dropping 0.0 rebound, 0 assist, like
I like Tony Snell though.
But he's been in the NBA for 9 years, so it shows that he's a valuable ball player. I think there is a roster somewhere that has a spot that could get him, a spot for him to be able to take care of his children and his family. Because at the end of the day, the NBA is a family.
Yeah, it is a family. It's a very inspirational story. Like I said, I hope he does it. I wish I could watch a game where he's playing after, because I know he plays for the Boston G League team. What is it, the Maine?
I don't know what their official name is, but I know it's Maine.
Yeah, Maine. They're based out of Maine. Mm-hmm. But it's a very inspirational story. Like I said, like you said, very family based is the NBA for sure. They look after each other. Whenever one person's down, they come together as a organization, as a very established brand. There we go. And they look after one another. And to see an inspirational story like that truly is something special. But we'll kind of jump in a little bit now when it comes to we'll go back to New York though. We'll go back to that. Obviously the trade deadline's coming up soon. What is there any moves you think, Michael, that will be made by any teams? Obviously the Lakers, they've been looking at making some moves. I don't think they're going to make any because obviously I'm not sure what the deal was, but somebody wanted Austin Reeves. They're not willing to take that deal for the Lakers.
Well, listen, the Lakers rested their best 2 players last night, and then Austin Reeves goes and drops 40 on the Celtics, who didn't rest anybody. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that kid's a ball player. But, talking about New York, I mean, I don't maybe a solid big man. I mean, because Mitchell Robinson is out for the season with an ankle injury. If they could get a solid big man rebound, a Jared Allen type of guy. I don't know if Cleveland would be even considering giving him up, for what he's given them. Mm-mm. But just a solid defensive big man. I think that's really all this team's missing because you have OG Anunoby, you have Jalen Brunson, you have Julius Randle, these great players that, you might not think of them as big-time names, but what they're doing in New York is special.
Dude, I believe that's what they're on a 9-game win streak now, 3rd or 4th in the conference. I'll have to look at it. But, I mean, there's other names out there.
They got the Lakers coming to the Garden tomorrow night.
Yeah, they got the Lakers coming to the Garden. While you were talking there, I looked up some NBA trade rumors. One rumor that they could be looking to trade for, the Knicks are interested in Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk for the New York Knicks, and I think that'd be huge, especially with Kelly Olynyk. That's another big name. He can space the floor. You can go 5 out with him as a big. Jordan Clarkson, a stud.
Listen, he is a really good 6th man, but man, that kid can ball.
Yeah, I mean,
we saw him the young days with the Lakers, and even what he's been able to do with the Jazz recently, he's a really good ball player.
Yeah,
I like that move for them.
Yeah,
if they can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the NBA playoffs. Obviously, I really have not been watching many regular season games just because it's so hard for me to watch the NBA.
Well, you don't know what you're getting every night. Yeah. I mean, it's been so inconsistent that, it's hard for the, casual sport fan to watch, and I'm not, an NBA, super fan, but I haven't watched more than 2 or 3 games this year.
Yeah.
It's just hard to watch.
I've only watched a handful of games as well. And I mean, it's just hard to watch with how the fouls have been called, the way the game's being played now. It's just, I can't watch it till playoff time. I really can't. So that's
because then you actually get some real basketball.
Yeah, because that's when it comes down to it, the nitty gritty of it's time to get down to business. Players are going to actually start playing defense when the time comes, and they're probably not going to play in the first quarter. But then again, once teams figure each other out, that's when they're going to have to play their best basketball. So
I do have one more question about you. I saw something, and so I assume you saw Anthony Edwards' comments after the Oklahoma City game earlier this week where he was criticizing the officials. He got fined $40,000 for that. Now, again, a guy like him, that's pocket change. Draymond Green got fined like $27,000 or something like that for putting a guy in a headlock.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think
Listen, I think you should be fined if you criticize the officials, but you got to have some consistency.
I thought Draymond should have been fined like $75,000 to $100,000 for doing that. Anthony Edwards, people criticize the officials all the time, and then again, it doesn't really get reported just because, depending on the name. I mean, obviously the latest one was LeBron, the head coach for Toronto, during one of the interviews, criticizing the Lakers in Toronto game where I think it was the foul count. The free throw for the fourth quarter. I think it was
22-2.
22-2, something like that, yeah. So, I mean, you know, I didn't want to assume that it was, but, you know, Dusty and I, we've been texting back and forth about it. AJ's been a part of those texts as well. I think it's to a point where the NBA, if it's not rigged, it's getting pretty close because it's hard.
It's getting pretty close.
Yeah, it's getting pretty close with how the game's been officiated. But then again, I mean, there's going to be so many just conspiracies about the playoffs. That's the one thing. It's playoff basketball. It's intense, but man, just when you think about it, like last year, everybody was thinking, "Oh,
if the Lakers
rigged.
or the Warriors make the finals, it's rigged." I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
That's what they said. If it's, they were talking about last year. If Boston and the Lakers go to the NBA Finals last year, which they didn't, but then again, if that were the case, both teams were going for their 17th banner.
Yep.
That gets a little suspicious, so we'll just I'm excited for a playoff team, but I don't really know. I'm not going to watch NBA basketball until that time comes. I'll watch the All-Star game. But
I agree. I'm going to watch the All-Star game this year because, man, I mean, just looking at these rosters as much as I have, man, it's loaded.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be an exciting time for basketball coming up, not only in college, but also in the pro. Hey, I do want to give a shout out though. You know, I was getting bashed by a particular person, but I'll shout them out. My men's basketball, UT Southern, they are currently 10th in the nation. So shout out to my guys back over there. I know they've worked hard, 10-2, 14-0 in the conference now. So looking to keep going on forward, try to jump the rankings as much as possible, stay undefeated in the conference. And I'm excited for what Pulaski's got going on over there.
Yeah, props to them. I mean, it's hard college basketball at any level to be, you know, consistently, you know, on top. And, you know, like you said, 14-0 in conference, that is incredibly tough to do. You know, it doesn't matter what conference you're in. It is always tough when you're seeing these teams as much as you are and studying film and stuff like that. So props to the, you know, not only the players, but the coaches for UT Southern.
Yep. So shout out to my guys. So we're going to take a break here on the Hayden Burks Show. We're going to be talking about some scandals going on over in the college side when it comes to Tennessee Vols. So Michael and I will probably be ranting about that. And then we're going to get into the NFL, what happened last week in the divisional round, and kind of talk a little bit what we predict in the Super Bowl. So that'll be next here on the Hayden Burks Show.
Southern Tennessee Orthopedics welcomes orthopedic surgeon Dr. Paul Thomas. Count on Dr. Paul Thomas, podiatrist Dr. James Barksdale, and nurse practitioner Doug Ian at Southern Tennessee Orthopedics to keep your life in motion. Injuries and foot pain can rob you of the activities you enjoy most. So our team is here, close to home, to address the pain and to get you moving again. Southern Tennessee Orthopedics. From the routine to the unforeseen, you can count on us. To learn more, visit SouthernTennesseeMedicalGroup.com or to schedule an appointment, call 931-762-4400.
Story and Lee, the Tennessee Valley's most dynamic furniture store, featuring our Made in America galleries with solid wood dining and bedrooms, leather furniture, mattresses, and so much more. You want it? We've got it. With our 3 acres of showroom and our huge warehouse, we're sure to have exactly what you want. And it's all ready to be delivered to your home absolutely free. Just try that anywhere else. We are Story and Lee.
Yeah, I know.
Southern Craft Manufacturing is dedicated to creating the finest quality and greatest value products in the death care industry. Southern Craft has perfected blending old world craftsmanship with modern manufacturing technologies to create a full line of steel, wood, and corrugated caskets. Family owned and operated for over 30 years, Southern Craft is now looking to hire local and regional truck drivers, welders, and production workers, each with great starting pay and a benefits package. For more information, visit SouthernCraftMFG.com.
Are you tired of missing out on family life just to be treated like another truck number? Since 1986, Southeast Cares has been a family-operated business based in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Being family-owned ourselves, we understand the importance of family, which is why we value it above all else. With our large number of dedicated lanes and our friendly staff, we are able to evenly divide your home time with the amount of time you spend on the road. We offer multiple benefits with large company pay, all while keeping a small company environment. For more information, visit our website at southeastcarriers.com or check us out on Instagram and Facebook.
At Smith Tax and Business Service, we offer many services. Along with personal income tax prep, we also offer tax preparation for corporations and partnerships. If you're a small business and looking for some extra help, give us a shout and we'll get you fixed up. Call Mary Beth Smith, Marion Matthews, Brooklyn Bates, or Michelle Staggs to find out how we can help you. Located at 208 Pulaski Street, phone 931-244-6633.
Head on over to Shaw Southeast Distributing in Lawrenceburg to find everything you need for your home, business, or fundraiser. To make life easier, Shaw Southeast Distributing now accepts EBT cards. Have a concession stand, food truck, or just your kitchen at home? Leave it to Shaw to fill your shelves with ease. Shaw Southeast Distributing delivers. Family owned and operated. Phone 931-762-7760. Follow us on Facebook or visit us at 1603 Ripke Avenue in Lawrenceburg.
You got me? I'll just mute myself.
Don't just find a job, find a career with Resource MFG. The team at Resource MFG in Lawrenceburg has the resources and experience to find you a full or part-time position right away. Now recruiting for open positions in Lawrence, Giles, and Murray counties. Whether you're entering the workforce for the first time or looking to take your career to the next level, let your journey begin with Resource MFG. Located at 300 Ellingson Street in Lawrenceburg. Phone 931-570-2111 to jumpstart your career today.
Hayden Burks goes the distance for local sports on the X Sports Network.
And back here on the Hayden Burks Show, as we're back after some more technical difficulties here on the X Sports Network, as Mike, your mic was still going.
Hey, I mean, you can never get me off the air.
You're going to hear what we're talking about on commercial more than likely. It might be some good things, it might be some bad things, but I think it was all good things, obviously. So, Michael, obviously there's been some talks about Tennessee football. I was kind of worried about it, but then, the more I kind of read into it, obviously you know probably more than I do about it because you're over there right now hearing everything that's going on. I've only been reading and watching videos and articles and just, podcasts about it. Just Tennessee Vols football versus NCAA with the NIL rules, and they're still being put in place. That it was centered around five-star QB Nico Maliava. I don't really know what to think about it. I'm very upset with the NCAA for not specifically putting their rules in place and trying to get Tennessee in trouble and fine them and possibly recruits being lost, especially how the Vols have been the last two seasons. And then obviously, I think there's nothing there because if Tennessee is fighting back against this, then there really is nothing being there, and the NCAA isn't wrong for doing that, in my opinion.
Yeah, just this whole thing has been a giant mess. So it all started Tuesday with known Tennessee hater and sports writer Pat Ford came out and was saying that there were some NCAA violations that the University of Tennessee had committed, and they were going to be investigating on that. And within the next couple of hours, University of Tennessee Chancellor Dondi Plowman had come out with a statement, regarding the NCAA.
And she didn't hold back.
No punches were pulled. I mean, she was, and then Danny White came out, the athletic director at University of Tennessee, came out the next day, yesterday, saying that, the university doesn't feel it's fair that the NCAA should be trying to, make a example out of somebody, especially Tennessee, for committing some violations that weren't necessarily violations. I think the whole ordeal with it revolves around Tennessee may or may not have broken some rules that may or may not have even been put in place yet. So it's just a giant mess. And this has become a whole bigger thing than I ever thought it would be. I didn't think this would get blown up. I thought it kind of would have just been swept under the rug. But, in the following days, the attorney generals for the state of Tennessee and Virginia have filed a lawsuit against the NCAA. I'm not sure exactly what the whole case is over, but, we can kind of assume. And, even today, the SEC and the Big Ten conferences have, formed an advisory group. It's chancellors, it's university presidents, it is athletic directors, and pretty much they're trying to, fill in what the NCAA has not done, which is, help college athletics and athletes, and opportunities and stuff, kind of for the betterment of these athletes, because, with NIL, it's been so inconsistent. It's been so all over the place that really the NCAA has no jurisdiction to do anything with it, because it's nothing really that they can, govern, with different states having different laws. But this whole thing is become a giant mess. And, I think I said it to you before the show started. I think we're looking at it in a couple of months, at least for the FBS side of things with college football, the NCAA being, not having any involvement in the FBS anymore and just kind of going to a separate committee.
Yeah, obviously, I'm at that point where I agree with you there. Obviously, I don't know how you feel about that. I feel that the NCAA has really no more really say in college football. It seems like, I know they're the brand, but then again, the college football has taken a turn where it is a global.
It's trying to move away from the NCAA.
It's trying to move away from NCAA, but it's also becoming more of a global brand and very high star athletes. I mean, it's almost as big as other premier brands in the world. Like, when it comes to NBA or NFL, I know the NFL and NBA have way more money put involved. But then again, people watch college football as much as they watch NBA and NFL.
Yeah. I mean, this has just been a whole mess, and I'm glad to see that this isn't just Tennessee versus the world. I'm glad we've seen other schools, other universities, other states even jump in. And we've even had, some athletes from different universities file a class action suit against the NCAA. So, we'll see where this kind of takes us in the near and distant future.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I don't know where this is going to go. Obviously, the first thing I was worried about was recruiting violations. I'm like, okay, here we go again.
I'm about to say, we had just gotten over all of the stuff that happened from the Pruitt era at Tennessee. And, just as soon as everything seems clear, the NCAA, pushes another thing in our face. But I'm glad that, everybody's kind of standing together and being like, hey, this isn't right. There are plenty of universities that have done things far worse than Tennessee when it comes to NIL and money with paying athletes, that I don't think it's fair to target one school over something that I think is as minor as what this infraction is allegedly supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I get upset about, just because obviously, yeah, if they did break, they might have broken a rule. Let's just say that. But then again, you can't punish a brand, a program, a athletic program for NIL violation deals who have not broken the rule, because, well, they have broken the rule, but then again, the rule was never in place.
Well, the whole thing is they're saying we broke a rule that wasn't a rule at the time that, we supposedly committed this infraction. And the Chancellor Plowman said it in her, in her email, and we've seen several, media members across college football. Probably my favorite, Josh Pate, works for CBS and 24/7 Sports, saying that you can't change his analogy of it was you're a construction worker and you show up one day to build a house. Okay, the first week you have these plans and you start building, you go home for the weekend, you come back Monday, you have a different set of plans, but you have to keep building. And then the next week you have different plans. And then the next week you have different plans. And eventually you get the house done. And then the inspector comes in and says you did it wrong. What are you supposed to do? So pretty much the NCAA has been so inconsistent with rules that everybody is in trouble and nobody's in trouble at the same time. And I feel like they were trying to make an example out of somebody. Tennessee drew the unlucky card, and now everybody in college football is kind of bouncing back and fighting against NCAA. And I'm glad to see it happening finally.
Well, obviously, the college football was going into Michigan with all the scandals that were going on throughout the season. Florida State just had some issues with NIL a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago now. And now
Florida's had their
I forgot
share.
You said Florida. Yep, you said Florida had their issues with recruiting, and then also NIL as well.
Even Iowa was about to pick up an infraction with recruiting an offensive lineman. And there was a guy at Alabama who
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, Proctor, and pretty much he came out in a video and said that, yeah, when I was having a rough time during the middle of the season, the folks at Iowa always said they supported me and, would always have me up there for a visit. Now he's at Iowa, so they're probably going to get in a little bit of trouble for that. But, that's tampering and that's wrong, and that is a rule. So, but hopefully at the end of this, we'll have everything figured out and in place so we can kind of get back to, college football, because it's such a parody right now of what it used to be with money and stuff like that. And I could go into a rant for hours about this, but once we get whatever the end of this is and we can get everything consistent across all grounds, I think we'll get back to the good old-fashioned college football we knew back in the day.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm excited for college football, especially what Tennessee has coming up. I don't want this to affect how their season's going to be next year, because I think we got a really good team. Obviously, Nico, he's going to be the starter from now on. It's Nico time in Tennessee, and then you got a bunch of good recruits coming in, got a good class coming back, several guys that are coming in for transfers, obviously. So it's going to be fun, and I don't want anything to hinder that in the process of this upcoming season with spring training, recruits visiting, obviously coaching staff changes, NIL deals, players transferring, red shirt, and just everything that goes into football programs. So I don't want anything to affect that. So we'll flip over to the professional side now for the NFL, as we will start with the first game. The number 3 seed Chiefs, Michael, once again have gone to the Super Bowl for the second straight season. They defeated the number 1 seed Ravens. And Michael, we talked about this on Wednesday night show, Dusty, AJ, and I. Baltimore fell apart.
It's very, very easy to look at the reason. They had the most rushing attempts from running backs all season throughout the NFL. Their running backs in the AFC Championship game got a whopping grand total of 6 touches.
Yeah.
They went completely away from their game, tried to force Lamar to be a passer, which is definitely not his strength. I'm not saying he's a bad thrower.
It's not his strength.
But that's not his strong suit. Them being able to run the ball and being athletic on the outside has been what helped them. And, man, the Chiefs, their defense is tough, man. They held Baltimore to 7 or 10 points, I believe it was. That's incredible.
You and I talked about it last week on the show. In the regular season, you never know when it comes to that the Chiefs. You never know. It's like, oh, well, they might fall off a cliff. No, playoff time, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce,
they flip
Andy
that switch and turn into a different team.
I mean, it's just unreal with that group. But, that Chips, it's worse now. I thought he got over it. Oh, it's just we're going to take a step forward and take 2 steps back now just because of that. I mean,
and it's how poorly it went. If it was a down to the wire, kind of like those Bengals and Chiefs NFC champion or AFC championship games were, but man, it may have been a 7-point game or a 10-point game, whatever it was. But man, that was a tail whooping. I mean, just through and through. Yeah. Baltimore got dominated.
Yeah, they got.
And I hate to say it because I feel like everybody that doesn't like Kansas City wanted to see Baltimore win.
Everybody wanted to see Baltimore win. Sam and I picked. We all picked Baltimore, and guess what? We were all wrong. We all took another loss in that column. I don't know. Obviously, the Chiefs, they're probably the premier team, probably the favorite going in. Obviously, they probably are the favorite going into Super Bowl just because they're back-to-back champions. I
think the spread is actually, at least the initial one was. I haven't checked since Sunday night, but the initial spread came out as San Francisco minus 1.5.
Yeah,
it's now
I think that's what it was because I think I saw that on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. They were talking about
it's moved to San Fran minus 2. So it's pretty much a shove at this point.
It's going to be back and forth.
Flip a coin who wins this one, according to Vegas.
So, we'll speaking of San Francisco, we'll flip over to that as man.
Listen, I picked San Francisco.
I picked them.
I was so disappointed. I had never been so disappointed about a team in my life. That was worse than what the Ravens did.
Yeah, that was – golly, I picked Detroit to win it. I picked them in the show. I was riding with Dan Campbell. I thought he had his guys ready. I was at the Mexican restaurant watching that game that one night. Had chicken, cheese, and rice, and it was going to be a great night because they came out at halftime. They were leading big. I think it was, 17-7?
I believe so, 17-7.
17-7 at the half, or no, it was 21-7, I think.
No, they kicked a field goal in the first half. I think it was 17.
You're right. So it was 17-7. I know the final score was 34-24.
34-31.
34-31. Oh, that's right, because
they did score that touchdown at the end.
Touchdown, yeah, you're right. Oh man,
I'm as disappointed. I picked San Francisco. I am as disappointed as anybody. I was on that Dan Campbell train. I just wanted to kind of salvage my record, just pick the safe pick there. But
yeah, shout out to you for making the safe pick. Obviously, that was probably the correct pick. But dang, dude, I was watching that game. But Dan Campbell, I loved his coaching. And I said it on the show last Wednesday. They played that second half not to lose because they dominated San Francisco. San Francisco was not ready to play whatsoever in that first half. And then San Francisco, AJ said it on the show, and I mean he said it as plain as day what San Francisco is. Once they figure you out, you're done.
Yeah.
Once they figure you out, you are done.
Because that defense is so stout, and I can go into some things about that defense that are maybe not as good. But listen, once they figure you out on offense and defense, and they get rolling, because I mean we saw Brock Purdy in the second half just put on an absolute clinic. They're a tough team to beat. And somebody I had talked good about going into the game, Chase Young, he might not even be playing in the Super Bowl just because of I think you've seen the play too. I think it was a Jahmyr Gibbs rushing touchdown where Chase Young was from me to my camera away from him and no effort.
Yeah,
I mean, there were moments that Detroit should have won that game, completely. But I think, and I love Dan Campbell. I love his aggressive play style. But I think he got a little too aggressive, and then it kind of backfired.
Yeah, and we'll go to that too aggressive part. I understand it's the Dan Campbell thing. Go for it on fourth down. Obviously, they get against the Cowboys at Dallas earlier in the season. They went for a two-point conversion. That's the Dan Campbell play. But that wasn't the right play. Take the points, tie the ball game up. It was a gimme field goal. I believe it was from 43 yards. It was
and Michael Badgley, their kicker, is a tremendous kicker. He's a young guy. He's got a heck of a leg.
He can make it.
He can make it.
He can make that. And that's the one flaw of that whole game. Dan Campbell, what are you doing, man? Because you could have tied that ball game up and still had a shot to get San Francisco, get a stop of them, and possibly get the football back with not much time left on the clock.
But then again, Hayden, if we look at it and they went for it and they got it and they ended up scoring on that drive, we're going to be like, wow, Dan Campbell, that was a ballsy play to kind of, go for that. And the fact that they got it, he's a gutsy guy. And the fact that, they didn't win this game, we're going to look at him and be like, why'd you do that? If we flip the script a little bit and Detroit's playing a Super Bowl, it's like, wow, man, Dan Campbell is an incredible coach.
I mean, then again, yeah, you could do that. Obviously,
it's one of those things that if it works, you look, like a genius. And if it doesn't, you look like
an idiot.
And that's how sports is nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. Obviously, you're going to be looking like, oh, well, hey, look, now you look real good. Now you look dumb. I mean, that's just how it is. But so it'll be the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers taking on each other in the Super Bowl 58 at Las Vegas, Nevada, February 11th, 2024. Obviously, we're not going to do our predictions because the time hasn't come yet for the Super Bowl. We'll wait till next week when the time comes for that.
We can pick the Pro Bowl if you're into flag football.
I don't even want to talk about how bad the Pro Bowl's gotten, to be honest. That's a joke. That's obviously, I don't know what's worse, the Pro Bowl or the NBA dunk contest.
Oh, man, that thing is falling off. I mean, listen, I get we were blessed with the Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine days back in our heyday, but
that was unreal, that dunk contest.
It's gone so far downhill from there that it's not even fun to watch.
Nobody wants to participate. And then again, Aaron Gordon should have won it twice and then got snubbed 2 times. Zach LaVine, that was probably that. Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon that year, that was the best dunk contest in NBA history. He should have won. I think then again, you could go flip a coin for that one. In my opinion,
the whole tiebreaker thing is, Zach LaVine did a windmill from the free throw line.
Yeah.
I mean, just unreal athletes, and now, Mac McClung is the only thing that anybody has to look forward to. I don't even know who's participating in the dunk contest that year.
Mac McClung's not in, I don't think.
If it shows you how far it's gone downhill.
Yeah,
that used to be something that we would look forward to. It's like, man, we got the dunk contest. We got these crazy athletes, and now nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares at all. So, I mean, I don't know. But then again, that's kind of the same thing with the Pro Bowl. They don't want to get anybody hurt. Guys, not sure where they're going to be at next season. Contracts still being talked about. Obviously, coaches being switched around. So, I mean, it's just really just dropped off when it comes to that. But, I think it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a back-and-forth game between San Francisco and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't really know because San Francisco they can't
think
do
we're
that
in for a
against
I think we're in
against
for an
Kansas
interesting
City.
game, Hayden, because we've seen we've seen both these teams several times throughout the playoffs. These are both very much second half teams.
Mm-hmm.
They've had to do their work in the second half, so we may be looking at like a 6-10 game at halftime, and then everybody kind of explodes and starts doing their thing in the second half. But I mean, I feel like the NFL, at least casual fans are tired of the 49ers and the Chiefs.
Yeah,
because this is what most people predicted at the beginning of the year. But the last two times these two teams played in the Super Bowl, we had a pandemic a month later. So hopefully we have a better outcome from this game. I mean, but I think we're in. The way they've played in the playoffs, I think these are the two best teams in the NFL, and I think that's probably the right Super Bowl.
Yeah, and obviously, it's a different because obviously Kansas City, they still have Patrick Mahomes behind center, but now they got a young guy, second-year player, Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to be the key. He and his legs destroyed Detroit's defense.
Yeah,
Brock Purdy using his legs, they had no answer for it, and I think that's the key. And I know Andy Reid's going to scout that though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Reid is one of the best coaches we got in the NFL, and their defensive coordinator has coached his tail off this entire postseason. I mean, you look at who the teams they've held, the Dolphins put up 70 in a game this year, held the 9. They held the Ravens, who I think had the highest scoring offense, if not number 2 behind San Francisco, held them to 10. I believe the Bills put up 24, which, that was at Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's a good team. Buffalo had probably had the best chance to beat them than anybody did. But, man, this Kansas City defense is tough. And, but I really hope we get to see Mr. Irrelevant win him a Super Bowl. Because, for them to be the number 1 seed and him to be the quarterback for them and play as consistent as he has anybody taken as much flack as Brock Purdy has?
I don't know what the deal is with that. Like, obviously,
they're in the Super Bowl. He's lost like 5 games as a starter in 2 years.
I mean, I don't know.
And he was the last pick in the draft.
Yeah, last pick in the draft. Still living with a roommate in an apartment in San Francisco. By the way, he's going to get the big bucks if he pulls off the Super Bowl.
I would say his contract right now is, I'm pretty sure, just 6 figures, which, anybody, either of us would take that in a heartbeat. But for him to be a professional quarterback playing in the Super Bowl, who has made it to the conference championship both years he's been in the NFL.
On that contract, living in San Francisco, that's like, he's basically, no wonder he's living in an apartment with somebody.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's a I was watching the Pat McAfee show, and they had J.J. Watt, and he's basically saying the same thing. I don't understand why people are hating on this story. Like,
and Pat McAfee made a great point about it. I think he was on First Take the other day, and he was with Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. And he was sitting there. He's like, talking to Shannon Sharp. He's like, dude, why are we giving Brock Purdy all of this flack? I mean, and like all the San Francisco players have kind of used as a little bit of bulletin board material. Hey, Brock Purdy, he might be the best game manager of all time. I mean, look at what the guy's done with the pieces around him.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously he's got the pieces, and he's so smart, and it's only his second year. He's a very good game manager. Probably not as good as Mahomes yet. Keyword yet. We'll have to just see how down the line. But that dude, and that's what San Francisco's really good at. And Kyle Shanahan, they are very good when it comes to, okay, we know what it takes to win, and we're good at executing and making sure we come out on top.
And a fun fact I saw about this game, Hayden, I know we have a whole nother week to talk about it, but, we have the head coach of the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, the running back for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, their fathers both, Mike Shanahan was, I don't believe he was the head coach. He may have just been a coordinator for the Denver Broncos back in the 90s. And Ed McCaffrey, his father, was a wide receiver for those Broncos teams with John Elway that won a Super Bowl. So, we could have a coach player, father-son duo win a Super Bowl. And probably the first time that'll have ever happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's obviously I like scenarios like that just because, it's cool to see that. Obviously, Cinderella stories, Patrick Mahomes, possibly the future GOAT with his numbers currently so far down the line, more than likely is going to win several MVPs and several Super Bowls. Then you got the last pick in the draft 2 years ago, Brock Purdy, who was the third-string quarterback. Garoppolo got hurt. Trey Lance got hurt early in the season. Garoppolo got hurt midway through the season. Brock Purdy comes out of nowhere, explodes.
And listen, any college football fan, I probably watch a lot more college football than the average person just because that's how I spend my Saturdays. I didn't think he'd be the last pick in the draft. I didn't think he'd be as good as he's been in the NFL. Man, Brock Purdy was a solid quarterback at
Iowa State.
At Iowa State.
Yep.
He had Xavier Henderson, who is now a receiver for, I believe, the Houston Texans. And he had Breece Hall in that backfield with him. I mean, that was a very good Iowa State team that almost competed for a college football playoff appearance back in 2020 if they had just won that Big 12 championship game against, I believe it was Oklahoma.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's going to be fun watching the Super Bowl. I believe it's February 11th, so that's not this upcoming Sunday, but it's the following Sunday. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, so it's the following Sunday, not this upcoming Sunday, but the next Sunday after that. So that's going to be fun to watch. So that's going to do it for our NFL and college football segment. And we're going to take a break here on the Hayden Burks Show. We'll be back for our final segment of the day, which is our sports Q&A. Come to our live chats on YouTube and Facebook, and we will answer those questions, and that will be next here on the Hayden Burks Show.
Rent-Right Equipment has all the tools you need to get the job done. From bobcats to trenchers to augers to lifts, we have a large variety of equipment for every project, big or small. Need a new mower? We have you covered there too. With great brands Hustler and Big Dog, Rent-Right is ready to serve all your equipment needs. Call today and reserve your equipment from Rent-Right Equipment in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
There are now more ways to save at Quick Mart. Become a Quick Club member and easily earn rewards on qualifying purchases at Quick Mart convenience stores using the Quick Club app, available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To save on fuel for work, use the Fuel Rewards Pro app to earn 5 cents a gallon on work fill-ups and redeem the savings for yourself. To get started, visit fuelrewards.com/pro or download the app in the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Do you ever worry about having too much in the garage? What about where you're going to put the mower, or your ATV, or better yet, your mother-in-law? Look no further than Quality Storage Buildings located right next door to Flat Rock Cheese and More on the Minor Hill Highway in Pulaski, Tennessee. There you'll find the answer to your need in a compact or spacious metal building. Built by hand right at Flat Rock by some of the finest craftsmen around, there's a perfect building for everyone, including economy, utility, cabin, lofted or garage models, and even an animal shelter line. Buy or rent to own, see the different models at Flat Rock or on North Main Street in Ardmore and on Highway 43 South in Dunn. Call today 931-363-3603 or 931-201-2205.
From our humble beginnings to today, Parks Lumber Company has continuously served Lawrence and surrounding counties for over a century. Although we started as a small lumber yard in 1896, we have grown to include everything you need to make your dream project come to life. No matter your building needs, our experienced staff will be with you every step of the way to ensure you receive the highest customer service and attention to detail you deserve. Visit us at 106 2nd Street or on Facebook. We guarantee you will see working with PLC is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Got primary care? Find your way to better health with Primary Care by One Stop Medical. With decades of combined experience, you'll find a one-on-one relationship just like the old days, but with the convenience and technology of today. When One Stop Medical does primary care, it's the best. Call today for an appointment and find your way to healthy living. Serving Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, and Hohenwald. Phone 931-244-8220. Primary Care by One Stop Medical at its best.
Oliver Wellness and Massage, located in Pulaski, Tennessee, is your premier spa for massage therapy, salt therapy, IV therapy, tanning, and much more. Stay relaxed, look your best, and feel good at Oliver Wellness, located at 1187 West College Street, Pulaski, Tennessee, or contact Haley at 931-309-0462 or schedule your appointment online at 931massage.com.
Hayden Burks goes the distance for local sports on the X Sports Network.
And welcome back to the Hayden Burks Show, as we are back for the final segment of the day. It is our sports Q&A segment, so we are going to start off with the first question, which we have is by an anonymous comment, and it's going to be, Michael, NFL coaches, all the positions are taken now. What do you think about the Commanders taking the defensive coordinator from the Dallas Cowboys, Dan Quinn?
Well, we've seen Dan Quinn as an NFL head coach before. Didn't work out the best, but the Commanders are in such a tough spot, man, that they really could take anybody. And I feel, you look at the fact that Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel both are going to be pretty much taking the year off. I don't think either one of them even wanted that job. So the big fact there is that, it's a tough job, but, I'm glad Dan Quinn's getting another chance at a head coaching job. Maybe he can try to turn them around. Commanders are in a tough spot, but, I think we're going to be in for I think we're going to have an interesting next season of NFL coaching changes. I don't think it's going to be as drastic as this year's was, with as many big names, kind of stepping away or being let go. But, we still have some big names on the market, off the market, however you'd like to say it, with Belichick and Vrabel. But, man, we got a bunch of new big names here in the NFL, primarily with San Diego picking up Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, obviously with all those guys. Whenever they've, parted ways, New England parted ways with Belichick, and then the Titans fired Tennessee, obviously we were thinking, okay, well, they're probably going to be one of the first ones off the board. Michael, they didn't end up with the job.
Well, they both interviewed for that Falcons job. I don't really know what happened there.
I know Belichick interviewed twice.
Yeah, and I know Vrabel interviewed at least once. It's kind of confusing to me why neither of them were given the job. Maybe at the end of the day, they didn't want the job. But I think with picking up Raheem Morris, I think it was maybe a smart hire. As long as they can get somebody to utilize the weapons they have on the outside on the offensive end, I think Atlanta will be in a good spot. But, something kind of funny I noticed today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hired a new offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. He did 2 one-year stints at Kentucky, the Wildcats. He was there for the first year of Will Levis. I don't remember who he was with before then. He was there for 1 year, left, and I think he went to the Rams, and then came back to Kentucky this year, and then left them again.
Yeah.
So, I'm not the biggest Kentucky Wildcat fan in the world. That
I'm not a Kentucky Wildcat fan at all.
Yeah, you kind of feel bad for them.
I don't.
I don't at all. I'm just trying to be, somewhat impartial. But to some degree, you feel bad for them. They just got like the double lane Kiffin. They had a dude hang out for a year. It looked good, and then back out the door.
Yeah, obviously, with the Commander's job, obviously it is a very, the organization, I can't remember what the total value of it being sold, but it was in the $4 billion range, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The organization sold for just in the past. So obviously it's in D.C., it's a high key market, NFC East, a premier division in the NFL between the Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Giants. So, those are all big 3 marquee organizations in their division. But, they got the second overall pick. More than likely, it looks like they might trade up to go get Caleb Williams at number 1. Might stay at 2 to get Drake May, or just maybe Jaden McDaniels. Jaden Daniels, there we go, from LSU. But then again, I like what they did. They got a new general manager in Adam Peters. Great pickup, I believe, for them. Obviously, he's going to go get their guy, and I believe they did get their guy in Dan Quinn, defensive-minded coach, as he was the defensive coordinator for Dallas. But then again, Quinn didn't look good in the NFC wildcard round against the Green Bay Packers, as they destroyed that so-called elite defense by the Cowboys.
To be fair, though, I mean, nobody in Dallas looked good in the wild card round, and everybody in DC would love to even be contending for the wild card round, as bad as they've been the past couple of years. I think that we're probably going to see the Commanders trade up for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because I don't know why they would want Drake May. We've seen what's happened with Sam Howell, another UNC quarterback. That one hasn't worked out. I think you need to look for something new. I get Caleb Williams has been seen as kind of a locker room, cancer, just a bit of a toxic person. But you need a playmaker like that. And he's got some weapons on the outside with the Commanders. I think it'd be a good pickup and try to get him a young offensive-minded coach with him. I think, maybe we could be looking at sort of a start of a good rebuild here in D.C.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sold on Caleb Williams. I probably would rather have Drake May just because I feel like Drake May, he's different from other UNC quarterbacks. I think he's better when it comes to making the best decision when it comes to throwing the football, what he needs to be able to do, be able to manage the game, execute plays, being able to extend plays and use his feet. I think
that's a very underrated part of Drake May's game. You see his passing yards, and you think, oh, this dude just sits in the pocket and launches it all day. Now, listen, his offensive line at North Carolina last year was, to put it gracefully, terrible. So he was, doing pretty much what Caleb Williams was doing every play, snapping the ball and then running for his life.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that May's ability to move on the, be able to put the ball in certain places on the run and be able to throw at weird angles, throw while he's being taken down. I think that's something that Washington may take a look at. But, listen, I think with Drake May and Caleb Williams in this upcoming draft, it's 1A and 1B, just kind of whichever you prefer.
Yeah, just whichever team prefers. Obviously, Chicago, like I said, I don't know what they're going to do with the pick. More than likely, I think they would take Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is still a very good quarterback in the NFL.
He needs help. I mean, listen, I think everybody in Chicago has said it that isn't, ignorant to the fact that, Justin Fields is fighting for his life every Sunday. If he has some help around him, Chicago wasn't giving up a ton of points a game. I mean, they were fighting in every game. It's just their offense couldn't ever get anything started because it felt like Justin Fields was getting picked up off the ground every other play.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, but then we'll have to see with the draft. Obviously, that's a while away. Haven't even gotten to the NFL draft workouts, and then again, somebody could jump up. These are just mock drafts right now. Somebody could jump up like it's not going to happen, but Milroe might just be like, oh, well, where'd this come from? He didn't play good. Now he's a first-round pick. Then again,
and you got guys like Bo Nix that are predicted to go 3rd round. I mean, I get he's old, but I mean, as good as he's looked at Oregon, I mean, give the kid a shot. I mean, apparently J.J. McCarthy is looking like a first-round quarterback, and and Michael Penix as well. After watching the national championship game, I've come to the conclusion. Now, listen, I love Penix, but I think Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy might get 2 NFL general managers fired. Just because just the inconsistency of play that they had. Now, I get college and NFL are 2 completely different games, but I mean, this draft class with quarterbacks is definitely. I'm not going to say it's good. I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's definitely intriguing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely one of the more talented NFL quarterback drafts in the past. Last year was semi-talented with Bryce Young, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, big names like that. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody that was a part of that group as well.
Well, I mean, Hendon Hooker was in there too, but we haven't seen him play yet. So.
Yeah, so we haven't really seen Hendon Hooker. Those are also, there. But then again, we'll also kind of go back to the coaching side of it with Vrabel, Belichick. Obviously, they were big-time candidates for head coaching positions, and they didn't end up with a job. So we'll just have to see. I think, obviously, jobs that could come up next year that they might take spots for that. I think a great place for Vrabel for him to go to is Pittsburgh if Tomlin doesn't work out there.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised we didn't see a move with Tomlin because there's been so many. I don't think he's ever had a losing record as an NFL head coach, at least in Pittsburgh.
No.
And I'm really surprised, but they've had so many first round exits as of late that I'm surprised they didn't move on. Just try to get a breath of fresh air. But I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe saw Vrabel or Belichick or both. I'm not 100% sure about Belichick. Maybe take like an analyst job at a college and just kind of hang around football for a year and kind of see what that brings them.
Yeah, because, I mean, obviously a big-time name was John Gruden, big-time college coach, went to the NFL booth. I believe he was with CBS, got a head coaching job with the Raiders, and obviously, that didn't pan out the way he wanted to with everything that was going on in the background in the organization. But I mean, hey, could take a step back like that. I don't see Bill Belichick doing that though. I mean, Belichick, he's got one more stint with the group, try to maybe go and win the Super Bowl. I think, I'm not saying he's going to, and I don't think it'd be a good fit at all. Eagles possibly, just depending on what they have next season with.
I think the first thing he would do is fire a former guy that played for him or coached with him is Matt Patricia.
Once Matt Patricia. Well, Patricia's already out. They already got rid of him. The defense got worse.
That was the best thing they could have done. As soon as he took over defensive play calling, the Eagles looked like a junior varsity high school football team.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad defensively.
It was bad.
I mean, it's rough, but I can't wait to see what's going on with the NFL. College, just football.
I think the off season is the most fun part of sports because you get to opening day or the first game and you get to see all these new faces on the sidelines, new faces on the field, and it makes sports as interesting as it is. And I think this NFL off season, at least in the coaching department, has been so interesting that I'm kind of ready to see what we get when the NFL draft combine, pro day, stuff like that. We get to see names jump up and down the mock drafts, and then we get to see some guys take some. Retire. Maybe some guys get traded. Maybe some guys get cut, stuff like that. And, we're going to be up for a whole new season in the NFL. It feels like a long time away, but, a couple months and we'll be back at it again.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun, so I definitely can't wait for that. So that's going to do it here on the Hayden Burks Show. As Michael, it was a good show. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but, hey, at least it wasn't as bad as last week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there was a moment where you couldn't hear me for a second, but I feel like I can talk loud enough that anybody could hear me. So we can get those problems ironed out.
Yeah, so we'll get everything figured out down the road eventually. So that's going to do it for the Hayden Burks Show here on the X Sports Network. My name's Hayden Burks, joined alongside my co-host Michael Marks and producer extraordinaire, not Crash, Kevin Wright. We will see you next Friday at noon here on the X Sports Network.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.